What is happening? Welcome back to Run Through TV. It is Ben Sheppard here. Okay, incoming a full conversation between me and Imo Boddy, who has just become the youngest ever female to run from John O'Groats to Land's End at the age of just 22. Enjoy this, and if at any point you do feel like you want to subscribe to Run Through TV, please do get that done and give this video a like as well.
So I'm 22. I am based in London. I'm a personal trainer. Now running coach, transferred into a running coach about a year ago. So yeah, running coach based in London. And yeah, just run from John O'Groats to Land's End. So yeah, run the length of the UK.
I think the obvious first question, and it's one that, like, I was trying to think of a better first question to ask, but I just have to ask why. Like, what was the idea behind it, and why did you decide that this is something you wanted to do?
Why JOGLE, or yeah, why JOGLE?
Yeah, why JOGLE, I guess. Why JOGLE?
So I've always loved running. I love running. I am a runner. And yeah, I did 7 marathons in 7 days last year, which is kind of like the first kind of like, yeah, challenge as such. And I loved it. And to be honest, I didn't find it that hard. And after that, I was like, 7 marathons in 7 days was more of a fast run, fast marathon in 7 days. Whereas I wanted to do something that was going to kind of like push me past my limits. Push past my limits basically. And when I found out JOGLE, well, I'd be a world record holder if I did JOGLE. Made sense to basically do JOGLE to get a world record as well at the same time.
So was that part of the motivation? We'll come on to the fundraising side in a second, because you've raised some incredible funds for an incredible charity. Was part of the motivation getting that record?
I could say so. Oh, sorry, Dorothy. Sorry.
That's all right.
You could say so. Probably was. Yeah, it was. It was. As soon as I found out I'd be world record, I was like, yeah, definitely was motivation. Yeah.
From inception then, from like thinking, I quite like running. I've done this big challenge, the marathon challenge. I quite fancy JOGLE. What was the period between thinking that you wanted to do it and actually doing it? Like, talk us through that process, because obviously there was a lot of training and a heck of a lot of logistics involved as well. How did that kind of all work?
It was about a year, about September to June. So not even a year. So I did my 7-7, finished on the 1st of May last year. Gave myself a few months off. And then I had a running coach at the time called Ben Parker, who is the co-founder of Runner Coach. And I spoke to him and I was like, do you think I'll be capable of doing John O'Groats Land's End? And then kind of went for logistical things, work-wise, kind of how I'd balance work with training. And he was like, yeah, if you give it your all, then yes. So that's what I did. From September, we had our initial conversation. I upped my training. Since then, actually transferred to a different coach because he was so busy with runner. September till June the 19th, basically, was the main focus.
And you mentioned balancing work and training. What was that like?
So I, at the time, was working at a gym in Fulham called One London, and I was doing front of house kind of admin side. So I used to work twice a week in the gym and then once a week from home. And then other than that, I was full-time training.
And was that life as a full-time athlete, a full-time adventurer? Is that something that you want to kind of, obviously you're going to be doing run coaching and PTing as well, but is that sort of a life that you quite enjoy, that sort of just focusing on training?
Yeah, I did. I loved it. I did love it. I loved it. Yeah. I'm happy now to be taking a break, but yeah, I did love it.
I guess then, before we get on to JOGLE, just going back a tiny bit, what started you running? When did you start running, and what was the motivation to just start running as a whole?
So I played sport all my life. I was always really sporty at school. Really enjoyed playing team sports. And then when I was 17, I left my school, went to a different school. And at the time I was playing kind of like competitive netball, and gave it up. And I trained so hard and built up such a level of fitness that when I was in my last 2 years at school, I basically wanted to do something that with the fitness that I'd built up, and kind of like have a kind of leaving school kind of end of line challenge. So at the time I wanted to do a marathon, and because I was 17, I was too young to do a marathon. So I ended up doing my own marathon, unofficial marathon, a 10k swim, and then about a 30-mile bike ride, all in one. So my own version of an Ironman, basically, all around Lake Windermere. So yeah, that was the first challenge. And then kind of post that, I kind of 5 years ago, I'd say, like, the knowledge about training and nutrition wasn't as big as the knowledge now. And I think for me, I kind of developed quite an unhealthy relationship with exercise, eating, and kind of balancing it all. So didn't go to university, became a personal trainer. And then ever since, I've kind of been running, but also doing other things. And then about 2 years ago, when I moved to London, that was when I first did full on just running. And obviously I do strength training to complement the running, but other than that, my sole focus is running.
We'll talk about the support team when we talk about JOGLE, because it was incredible just watching it on Instagram. But before they were your support team, obviously they're your family and friends, and you kind of have to tell them that this is something you want to do to get them there to be your support team. So when you first brought up the idea that you wanted to do this, what was their reaction? I
mean, my parents have kind of been so supportive of like exercise and sport like since day one. So they used to take me to like netball training, sit in the car and wait for me to train, walk my mat, whatever. So they've kind of always done it. I think obviously 3 weeks, well, plus we had to travel as well, was like a massive ask, but they were just like, they didn't even like they were on it straight away. So they were amazing. And then to be honest, the support crew, like it was tough for the support crew, but they all loved it. Like, family, like, it was such a little bubble. Like, obviously I did have my family with me, but our logistics guy, Chris, we like literally, I'd met him for half an hour before we started, and we met in Johnny Groats on the 18th of June, so the day before we started, and kind of like introduced him to my parents, and you know, it could have gone either way, but we all got on amazingly. So I didn't know Chris really at all before, but he was game on, and then my boyfriend loved it, and then my friends all loved it too. So yeah, everyone was game on, to be honest. Everyone loved it.
So from that year that we said, kind of from inception to like standing at the sign, that was a whole process in itself. But when you got to the actual sign there at the top of the country, and you were standing there and you were thinking, okay, it's time to like actually go and do this now, what were your internal feelings? Excitement, nervousness? How did you kind of feel?
Excited and nervous. I don't think until the last day, I had nerves every day, regardless. Okay. I had the start of every day was horrible. I knew I had 60k to go, which like 60k on a normal day, like without having to do 22 days, is obviously a massive distance. So I knew I had 60k to go. Obviously I had all the weather thrown at me and whatever. So the start of every day was, I was probably more nervous on day 3 and 4 when I knew that I'd already done 2 days. So I kind of knew what to expect, but I also knew I had, 15, well, plus 6, like however many days more to go. So at the start I was excited, but I got more nervous as I went on, to be honest.
It's I've talked to a few people that have done like multi-day big challenges like this that go on for a long period of time. And it's such a funny one to try and put in perspective, because even with an Ironman, right, you get out of the swim, you've got 2 things left to go. With a 3-day event, right, day number 1's first day number 2, all you're thinking of is tomorrow's going to be the last day. You've done 7 marathons in 7 days. That's a little bit more difficult. But when it comes to, 20 days plus, how are you mentally getting around right, that was day 1. I've got 20 plus days to go. How is that? How do you kind of comprehend that?
I don't know. I tried not to think about it too much. I did try and take day by day. We did, so our checkpoints were every 10 kilometers. So every 10 kilometers we have a checkpoint. So I'd be like, so the first 10k of every day was horrible. My knees would be aching. Well, they'd be jarring. There'd be agony. whatever, like I had aches and pains all over for the first 10k, and then after the first 10k they did usually kind of start to like ease off. So the first 10k was horrible, and then throughout that I just break it down into 10k. It'd be like, you know, I've got 10k to do, have a checkpoint, have a rest, have a refuel, go again. And I think that's just literally how we broke it down. I just saw checkpoints the whole time, and it actually made it so much easier. So yeah, and then when I had if I had a 5k, I'd be like, I've got 10k to go, get 5k into it, and then I'd be like, I've got a park run to do, everyone can do a park run, and kind of break it up like that. So yeah.
Well, when did you allow yourself to think, I'm going to finish this, or did you never not think that you were going to finish it?
I never not thought it. When I had a really bad day and my tendon swelled up, and I walked all day, that day I thought, oh my gosh, am I going to have to walk for the next, 10 days? I was going to complete it, but am I going to have to walk for 15 hours because I can't run, kind of thing. And that's when I was kind of thinking, God, this is going to be long, but I didn't want to think I'm going to stop. No.
Swollen tendon. Right, so that's a good transition onto injuries. It's a long time to be running a lot of miles, so the body would have obviously gone through some things. What was the worst thing you had to deal with? Was it that tendon, and kind of what was the process day by day to just get that body moving and just trying to get some blood into what is obviously going to be pretty sore muscles?
I mean, when it can, obviously, like, you're supposed to stretch, you're supposed to warm up, but to be quite honest, when you're in that state, like, I wasn't even thinking about warming up. I was literally just thinking about getting in the camper van, sorting out my blisters, getting my blister passes done, drinking enough water, eating enough, getting out the camper van, making sure my tracker was on, like all the logistics behind it. So actually warming up, some days obviously I'd try and warm up. Other than that, you just kind of, suddenly I'd start walk for 10 minutes and then start running. There was no obviously like time goal in the sense of like, how quickly I mean, there wasn't, since I did in 22 days, but day by day, I didn't have the biggest time goal. So if I needed to walk for the first 10 minutes, I kind of would. But my blisters were pretty horrific at the start. But yeah, I don't know, you just, at the end of the day, when it comes to it, you've got no option. You've just got to grin and bear it and push through, I think.
Did you feel like it was your job?
Yeah, I mean, it was quite nice having to not reply to emails and kind of like
just do nothing else.
Literally, just like all I had to think about was getting from kind of like location to location, and I wasn't even thinking about directions because my support crew were directing me. They would be like, we're going here, we're going here. So yeah, I mean, I literally just thought about putting one foot on the other.
In terms of highlights, then you've got 22 days to pick from. Just try and pick a couple, I guess. What were those moments that you'll remember for the rest of your life?
My first highlight was we had been in Scotland. I think it was day 4 or day 5. Day 4, I want to say, and we just got to Inverness. And we'd been running, obviously, 60k a day for like 4 days or whatever it had been. And I felt as though I was getting nowhere. I hadn't seen anything, or we hadn't seen anyone really. In fact, we hadn't seen anyone apart from kind of like the crew. And obviously the odd local, but like nothing was really going on. And then we hit Inverness, and going over the bridge in Inverness was just like the biggest feeling. Like we'd hit our first city, like we were getting somewhere. So I'd say that's probably like, I mean, obviously the finish was like incredible, but I think, and obviously I had good days, but I generally think that was just like the biggest highlight. The first day I was like, okay, I'm going somewhere.
And it's those little moments, isn't it, that stick out to you, even though that when you look back on the whole journey, that might have been quite an insignificant like part of the journey, but to you at that time, that is such a monumental thing to have experienced. You mentioned the finish. Obviously, we have to talk about the finish. I want to talk about your thought process really 5k out. So you've 5k out from the finish. So it's done now. It's boxed off. You finished it pretty much. Where's your head there for that last 5 kilometers? Like you're getting, are you desperate to get there, or are you savoring every moment?
Well, I actually didn't realise, bizarrely, that my sister was going to come surprise me. So we got to spend the day out, and everyone was like, Imo, because on the last day I obviously picked up the pace, felt good, not wanted to get it done, but like I felt good, like I was on my high. So was running like naturally faster, and everyone was like, Imo, you need to slow down, you need to slow down. Obviously they weren't going to tell me why, and they were like, you need to check the bike, you need to check the bike, like blah 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 blah. So it was all quite hectic the last 10k, and then we got to like about 5k out, and I actually had quite a lot of support runners, but I was quite silent. We have the song called Proud, which has been like the song of the challenge, and I was like to Chris, I was like, we've got to play Proud on repeat. So for the last like 5 minutes we had Proud on repeat, and you could obviously see the sea, see the cliffs, so yeah, I mean, it was a pretty amazing feeling listening to Proud, and then I was silent. Chris was next to me, who'd obviously been like the rock throughout. It was pretty amazing.
And touching that sign.
Lot of tears.
I can imagine there was a lot of tears. And now, how far are we removed from this now? We're like a couple of weeks, right?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, because it's all
on Sunday. No, 2 weeks. 2 weeks on
it's
Sunday.
about that, isn't it? You've had a bit of time to kind of digest everything.
Yeah.
What, because it's all kind of, it would have been your life for a year leading up to it, then the journey itself. What's it been like since, and have you managed to kind of digest that you've actually just done that and that goal has been ticked off?
I think so. I'm also obviously a running coach and launched a business just prior to JOGLE. So I've been trying to grow my running coaching business. I do it with my boyfriend, who does the strength side, I do the running side. So I've been trying to do that, but I've definitely digested it, but I am digesting it still. I'm still like on a high, but I kind of not like I don't miss. I haven't run obviously since, and I think it's put into perspective. Like obviously I'm saying that someone that's run quite far, but when I go for my 10k now, I can't. Some days you're like, oh, can't bother to do 10k. It's quite far. Whereas for me now, on the back of JOGLE, I'm like, Imo, go and enjoy that 10k. Like, don't like not. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think sometimes you can work yourself up about a run. So I'm looking forward to just like enjoying running again and just going for a run, because
I think perspective is a massive thing as well, isn't it? It's like perspective. Now you've got the perspective of, if you're ever having a hard day or a hard run, you can say like, why are you struggling to do 10k when you've done this and done this and done this? But it's also fine to obviously have a hard run, but it's a brilliant thing to have as perspective. Talk about the charity then, because you raised a lot of money for an amazing charity. Who is the charity, and why was that kind of the one that you picked?
So Young Minds, I've raised about £37,000, which is like crazy amount.
Oh, money.
And actually bizarrely, I saw a thing on Instagram earlier saying that every 30 seconds someone gets admitted to the NHS because of mental health, which is just like crazy. So I think mental health's obviously a massive thing, like close to my heart. I think a lot of people struggle with their mental health, because I know do, obviously a lot of people generally do. So and I being a younger person as such, being 22, I raised about £25,000 for Young Mind. So for Mind last year, I did my 7-7, and then this year I wanted to go slightly more specific. For the younger people, so Young Minds this time around. But
And you mentioned there, last year was a challenge, this year was a challenge. Are we going another challenge next year, or are we going to just chill out for a bit?
Yeah, we're chilling out for a bit.
Oh, we're chilling out for a bit.
Grow my business, enjoy running. I think I'll like enter a few marathons and enter a few half marathons, just because I love the sort of, I love the vibe of a marathon or a half marathon or an event. I love the vibe of an event. But taking a break for big challenges for a while.
And you've mentioned your new business a couple of times. If people have enjoyed this and want to get in contact with you or hear more about what you do, first, I guess, where do they go personally in terms of personal Instagram and stuff like that, and then business side of things, where would they go to try and find out more about what you do?
So Imo Boddy Fitness, Imo Boddy _fitness, for all things personal and running, and then Lift and Run is our strength and running business. So
Massive thank you to Imo for coming on Run Through TV. Make sure you subscribe for more conversations just like this one, and stick a comment in the comment section below as well, and let us know who you'd like to see on Run Through TV in the future.